I would say that your first step is really just to figure out where your money is going. So what's coming in and what's going out. Once you know what's moving, it starts to feel better, even if it's not good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Confab Experience. Hello, ladies. How are you doing today?
Hello.
Hi.
Well, on today's episode, we have a very special guest. We have Alanna with us today, Alanna Anthony. She is a certified financial educator and a personal finance coach. And she helps women become confident about money so they can use it as a tool to reach their goals. And she has personally paid off $60,000 in debt.
Wow.
We're at 70 now.
$1,000 in debt.
Be clear.
She's like, don't get it twisted. It's 70. Give me my cred. Incredible. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, historically, women have really shied away from finances. A lot of times they don't feel super confident. So could you tell us just a little bit about how you managed to gain confidence to the point where you are now spreading the love and teaching others how to do it?
You know what? I really have to give credit to my mom. So just, she might not like that I'm telling her background story, but I'll tell it. She grew up, like, truthfully, they would have been middle class, but my grandfather, he was an alcoholic and he would spend his check. So my grandmother would have to use her check to really handle the household. And when you grow up in that type of situation, either you're going to be a spender or you're going to be a super saver. And so she is a super saver. She has always been very particular about knowing her finances. And she tried to work with me on like knowing about my finances, but she just didn't really give me that why. And so for me, I'm a why person. You can't tell me to do something and I don't know the whole story behind it. So I didn't listen to her. But I do remember her being very vocal about the finances and what to do. So once I kind of got into the point where I figured out what to do with my own money, I just really just use that to try to help others.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that. And I think it goes exactly into our next question, which is that desire to want to be financially secure, but it can be overwhelming. So what is even the first step to getting there?
I would say that your first step is really just to figure out where your money is going. So what's coming in and what's going out. I don't know about you, but like when I don't know what's happening, which normally happens around the time I travel, but when I don't know what's happening with my money, I become like anxious. Like you're just not sure what's happening. You scared to look at your account a little bit. But
I've been there.
once you know what's moving, it starts to feel better, even if it's not good. Everyone I've ever worked with, even if they're not in the best situation, just because they know, okay, what do I have coming in? What are all the bills that I actually pay? That's like the first step. And then just trying to figure out how to manage that money first. And then you can start building on with the building a savings, paying off debt, and bringing in other streams of income.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's so perfect. Like I heard someone say every dollar has to have a name. Everything has to have an idea, right? But even in your best thoughts and when your best mind of what you want to do, people still make mistakes, right? So what do you think some of the biggest mistakes people tend to make with their finances?
Overspending. Truthfully, it's just overspending.
Yeah.
Because even with the debt, right? A lot of times debt is a part of overspending. There are some people who just have like student loans. But then there's people who have like the student loans, a whole bunch of credit cards, a really high car payment. and you just basically overspent. Like I always leave the student loans to the side because everybody's situation is different. You know, everybody's family don't have the money to send them off to the schools, the best schools or whatever. And even if they went to a top school that was expensive, like, you know, young and dumb. So, okay.
Right.
All right. but as far as like actually, you know, okay, do I really have the money to buy this new, I'm going to bring up the Apple Watch because I've been talking to Stacia. I want an Apple Watch now. I'm a watch girl, but I normally wouldn't like the Apple Watch, but I've been working out, so I want the Apple Watch. But I have not pulled the trigger because of, do I really want to buy an Apple Watch right now in our current situation, right? Like with everything going on in the world. So those are the things. Like sometimes people spend because they're emotional. Sometimes they spend because they're trying to keep up a lifestyle. Sometimes they're spending just because they want to make sure that things are taken care of that they really still can afford to take care of. So I would just say it's overspending. Like if you could just really keep it into what you actually make and really less than what you make, then your life would be a lot different as far as your cash flow is concerned.
So I think that when you're talking about reasons why people spend, as we're approaching the holiday season, I think that one of the reasons why people spend is because they want people, especially around the holiday season, to know how important you are. Let me show you basically with this price tag of this gift that I bought for you. Do you have any tips to give our listening audience on how to stay within a budget over the holidays?
Well, first of all, this is your out year. This is your out year. Okay. This is the year where you can really say, you know what, it's a lot going on. We decided not to do it. And I know a lot of people, you know, their ego.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Play. But this is the out year.
For a lot of
I love that. That's the tagline.
Yeah, this is your year. Because a lot is going on and we need to save more money. So if you do not have a savings and you have to use debt, this is not the year to do it, y'all. I don't know if this year didn't teach you anything. Right. Corona hit at the beginning of the year. A lot of people were still paying off their Christmas debt at that time. True. So this year, don't play with it because your people still didn't give you a stimulus. You haven't gotten the
True.
So I would say definitely try to stay in budget. So set that budget first. And then I would allocate for each person. But again, like I said, this is your out year. So you don't have to get I personally don't think you have to give every niece and nephew a gift.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't get anybody a gift. Like literally I get my kid a gift and my niece a gift. That's it. Sister, no. Mother, no. I don't get anybody gifts.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so
ladies,
once I got married, my niece and nephew count went up. I think we're around 5. So they're probably gonna be short this year. Like I haven't talked it over yet, but
it's time to bust out the homemade gifts this year.
Yeah, and so and that's another point I was gonna make. So even though you don't have to get everybody a gift. Also, make sure that you start early. So we're not gonna wait till Black Friday because this year, y'all, I don't know if y'all have noticed, retail is not really cutting back on the sales like they normally. Like normally we would have some really good sales going, not happening because they're trying to make their money. You know, because they're behind their target. And so don't count on Black Friday like we usually do, because I'm not sure if it's going to be the way we expect. My favorite day of the year. But I don't know if you remember back in 2008 when we had the recession, Black Friday was cool, but it wasn't like it used to be. Like it was true. You didn't have as good of deals. So just keep that in mind. So I would go ahead and start early. And then homemade gifts, nothing's wrong with homemade gifts. Because let me tell you, if you can bake and you bake me something good, right? I am completely happy with my gift. Right. And especially if you're talented and you do like a lot of DIY stuff and stuff like that. A lot of people do, you know, like that type of stuff as long as it's nice. And you know who you're dealing with. So I would stay in budget, make sure everybody's allocated, do not deviate. cut some people off the list.
Mm.
So a few years ago, we cut out extended family besides the niece and nephews. But even them are about to,
our family does.
Are you making announcements right now? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say our family does white elephant, where we all put our names in and then we set a budget. So everybody just buys one present. And then
that's a good one.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. But this is your out year. Don't forget.
Okay.
Do not forget.
Well, let me ask you another question. So we mentioned 2020 and how it's crazy and your out year. So for those of us who had been working on a financial plan, do you have any advice on how, given how crazy this year is, and even if you didn't necessarily lose your job, other things are happening, things are uncertain, the stock market's doing weird things. Do you have any advice on how to rethink your financial plan during this time? Or is it one of those kind of set it and forget it and hopefully it'll just kind of work out?
So it depends on the person. So if you are a person who is very particular about, where everything is and you always like to look at it, I'm going to tell you to leave it alone. Just because that's a sanity piece, right? And that's what will stress you out about money. And I don't want to say money shouldn't be stressful, because it can be, but you don't need extra stress in this year. For a person, if you're more relaxed, but you've been working on something, I say keep working towards it. Now, you may want to adjust a little. And so for some people, right, they want to save more money because they don't have enough money in their emergency fund. So maybe you adjust a little bit if that wasn't your primary focus for the year.
Okay.
If you're a person, like I'm a person, funny enough, where I like to pay off debt. So I like savings, and I do both, but I will focus on paying off debt because I'm always about the number I can clear in a month. Right. So you may want to adjust to that. If that's what's agitating you, if that's what's keeping you up at night, then you want to, okay, how can I put myself in a better position so that if something does happen, that I actually, have less money that I have to kick out every month, or that I have more money to pull from my savings. But I'll definitely say that short-term $1,000 that I'm not a fan of, that's not it. Because your bills are more than $1,000 a month. And even typically I would tell people to at least have a month's worth of savings, but this is not the time to play either. I would just go ahead and, if you can, just contribute towards having as much savings as you can and try to hit that 6-month mark.
Wait, do you mind telling us a little bit about that $1,000? It's the emergency fund you're referencing, right?
Yes. So y'all heard of Dave Ramsey, right?
Of course.
Okay. So Dave Ramsey, right? Dave Ramsey has the big $1,000 before you start paying off debt. So it's the starter emergency fund. And I tried it before. It worked initially, but then while I was paying off debt, I had a large expense, way over $1,000.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that's not enough. And so, especially now, like, because all of you all are in high cost of living areas. And so rents now are over $1,000.
Right.
And I mean, apartments with no updates, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So even if you own a home, like some people's mortgage is not over $1,000, but you still have other bills that go along with it. So I always say at least have a month's worth of expenses, because then you got a month to figure it out. Like everything's going to be paid for the month. You got a month if you want to get out there and do some side hustles or whatever to figure it out, find another job, whatever.
Right.
But at this point, go with what makes you feel the most comfortable.
Yeah.
All right. I heard a quote one time that said, being an adult means that at least once a year something breaks and it's $1,000.
Oh yeah.
So
easily.
like $1,000 to me, it's like that can go in a minute.
In a minute. It really can.
Yeah. All right. Well, Alanna, tell our listening audience if they're ready for their financial plan, their financial makeover. Oh, I probably can't say that. That's a Dave Ramsey thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave. Sorry. But if they're ready, how can they talk to you and what can you offer them?
Oh, sure. Okay. So you can come check me out at www.financialdemics.com. I offer a financial checkup session. Everyone goes through this session first. So no matter if you decide to work with me long-term or you just want to get a financial plan and know exactly where you stand, you will go through this financial checkup session where we will actually go through your finances. Like we're going to look at what's in your bank account, what you actually pay for, and create an actual plan for you to reach whatever specific goal you're looking to reach at this time.
Mm-hmm. Let me write that down. Well, Alanna, thank you so much for coming and being our guest today. It was awesome.
Thank you again. I was glad I got to hang with you ladies because I normally listen and I'll have my little feedback. I was like, oh no.
Well, good. That's what we hope. We hope that people feel like they can be part of the conversation. All right, listening audience, I hope you enjoyed Alanna's input today. Valuable, wonderful information. And we hope that you have a confabulous day.
Continue the experience on our social media handles at the Confab Experience.